Hey, what's up YouTubers? DR Smith here. Actually, this is one of my first videos on my new channel. Sounds like I have other channels I did years ago. I'm just starting out all again. So I wanted to make a review on this Mr. Heater. It's an 80,000 to 200,000 BTU heater that I bought. And I did specifically because on my porch here, it's kind of hard to see, but I put plastic up. So that way in the wintertime, I could try to stay a little warm. I did a pretty makeshift job. I just used like L screws and some clamps and zip ties. But it still got cold in here, as expected, because we do have winter and it's just plastic. So I didn't want to get a couple little tiny heaters. I originally started doing the flower pot heater. I don't know if you can see my pieces out there. I started that. Candles don't burn hot enough. I tried going with the alcohol burners. I even went as far as buying the Bud Light cans, the 16-ounce things, try to cut them, make my own alcohol burners. Too much soot. So I went through, I did some research, and I found liquid propane, or LPG, liquid propane gas, is one of the cleanest. It's not quite natural gas, but it's way better than black soot on everything and everything you touch. So and you can tell if something's not going right, because with propane you'll smell what do they say, rotten eggs kind of smell. So you can already grade a safety there. Otherwise I haven't had any issue, so we'll go ahead and get into it. I did actually originally start doing some reviews on YouTube, and this is why I wanted to do a better one, a little bit more detail. A lot of questions I had, especially like BTUs based on the square footage. Now this garage, well, it's more of a carport. Carport is 18 foot that away, and then it's 16 foot or so about that way. You can look up online, if you go to Google, you just do like how many BTUs for square foot or BTU requirement, and they have like calculators. Now when they tell you like you need 8,000 BTUs or 10,000 BTUs to heat the space based on drafts, they're not talking about drafts that you could stick your hand through. They're talking like if you have a closed-in room with like drywall and windows, and you have a couple small little cracks in, like by the door or something. We're not talking like that. We're talking like I have gaps, right? So I need a substantially higher output, but I don't want to burn my my roof down. Now I'll show you this now, because later on you're going to say, oh, you've already started burning your siding, right? That was from years ago. There was a fire, and the navigator had actually caught on fire from the car that was sitting in front of it. So that's old damage, none of my doing. So we'll go ahead and get into it. This heater does put off a very high amount of heat, and what ends up happening is in the enclosed space, the heat will kind of sit up here, and you will feel the cold air down at the bottom, because hot air rises, cold air sinks. And with the little gaps by the door, you do get a little draft of cold air. So I wanted to figure out a way to heat it without melting when you stand up. So then I decided to create some circulation, and I set up a fan, right? And I don't know if you can see this that well, but I have the fan kind of angled up so that it blows directly above the heater, right? So you can see straight out from the fan is the heater, and that will circulate around the top of that, and it'll come back around. We'll go ahead and show you where the temperature is. Right now, I'm sitting at 40. It's kind of old, but I got about 40 degrees in here. So I wanted to show you how well this works. First things first, when you do hook up your tank, and actually you get a hose that has a regulator with the heater. So you go ahead and hook that up, and when you hook this into the tank, it threads backwards. So you like lefty tighty, righty loosey. It's completely opposite, but it's the way propane fittings are. So just, you know, if you go to start it, take a second to assess what you're doing, realize, oh, I got to go the other way. So we'll go ahead and we'll crank her open. And the way that this sets, you're going to have a small button you push. You hold that in and you'll hear it. I think you can hear that. If you hear that, you want to hold that in, and then this red button is going to be your ignition. So I'm going to set this down so I can show you here. You'll hold this button in, then you'll click that. Now you can peek inside and see that there's a little flame in there. And when you let off that first button, you have ignition, right? Now again, as the heat from this heater will go up, I want to create circulation so the entire room gets nice and well heated. And if I'm like on the ground working on something, I don't get to freeze. So it might get a little loud in here. I did a video earlier this morning to test, and it didn't seem too bad on the audio quality. So I'm going to go ahead and crank the fan on, and that will get the air circulating. Now, the heater as it stands is set on the lowest setting, which is at here. That's at 80,000 BTUs. Now, if I wanted to crank things up a little bit, it really is a quick change, just like so. Now, the hot air is already rolling through. The thermometer really hasn't picked up on it yet, but in a matter of like 4 or 5 minutes, this room will get to be nice and cozy. I did a video this morning just trying to heat the room up because I had flowers that I wanted to subject to a high amount of heat, so that way the blooms would open up, because I do actually work as a designer in a flower shop. So I tried to do that this morning. Flowers were a little fidgety, so that didn't work out as well as I planned, but I'm gonna go ahead and bump this down because it does get a little loud to talk. Generally speaking too, when I run this heater, I end up setting on here, and I can show you, I dial this back. Now I know where close, I know where that says on this specific tank, that once I turn that past this valve right here, it'll actually shut it off right about there. So I bump it back, and I can actually slow it down just a little bit, so that way I'm not quite burning at 80,000 BTUs. And the lower I have that, the longer that tank will last. So that's kind of the concept there. Now, I mean, just in a quick couple minutes, I've already gone up about 10 degrees, which is not bad. However, over here, I'm about ready to take my coat off. It's warm enough already. Another thing I wanted to mention with this setup, I'm trying to find my notes here. I wanted to make a good list of notes to go. Yes, so tank sizes. I'm new to the whole propane thing. I've only used one with a grill in the past. So when you find your tank, I'm just now finding out U-Haul, like the moving company, actually sells tanks. They refill them, opposed to an exchange where you take the old tank, they give you a full tank, right? That's your exchange. If you go to U-Haul, they will actually refill your tank for, it's like $2.37 a gallon. Your standard propane tank will hold about 4.5 to 4.8 gallons. So I think it was $2.37 or 3 something. It's cheaper than an exchange. An exchange right here in Roanoke, Virginia, for a tank at the local 7-Eleven is $19.99. It's $20. But if I go down to U-Haul, I'm just finding out you could actually get a full tank refill for probably $12, $13. You save about $6 to $7 each time. Also, if you want a bigger tank, I found out Lowe's sells 30 gallon and 40 gallon tanks. So that would be essentially 10 times as much. Now at the rate I have this burning, I can have this running on one tank probably 14 to 15 hours, which is pretty decent considering that I'm already going up, almost 25, 30 degrees from where we started. So I just kind of bumped that up and find where it's at. So So we're looking at about 70, which is much more comfortable. And I've sat out here in the middle of the snow. I've come out here in the morning to have my coffee, eat breakfast. Me and my buddy will sit right out here, right on our table. Most of the time in a t-shirt and maybe boxer shorts or just whatever regular shorts and socks and slippers. I actually have my slippers on right now and my feet are fine. We do keep carpet down. That is something. If you're doing this in a garage or a car porch or something and you have old carpet anywhere, that's going to make a huge difference, especially if you're using the fan, because as the air comes across the cold slab on the bottom, that's going to pick up cold air. It's going to be a temperature exchange with the air and the cold cement. So that is, for the most part, why I try to have some carpet down in the area where I'm going to be sitting, where I'll have my feet. But as you notice, I had no carpet down underneath the heater because let's say it got down to 10 below tonight. I'm going to have that heater running a lot higher to keep a temperature. And the base of it, I don't think it would burn a carpet, but my worry is that it might. And, you know, number one thing is safety. In fact, messing with the valve on my tank, turning that down below the normal threshold that would give it its normal feed, might not be the safest thing. I've tried to do research on it, and I'm sure a lot of people might be watching this saying, dude, you got to put your propane tank outside, right? I've never had any problems anytime I've done this with like a grill, so I don't really see any major issue here. I'm not really trying to put the temperature at 100 in the room, but there is a lot of general safety things with your propane tanks, like don't let them tip over, don't transport them where they can tip over. Most things now have it's what do they call it? An overfill protection device valve, an OPD valve. That's just your valve right here, and you can tell based on this end as something with the way that whole thing works, it will automatically shut it off. So if it's running and I kicked it over, it should just cut the flow of propane. Not anything I want to try, nothing I would recommend that anybody watching this would try. But essentially with just the setup of this heater, and I currently have it running below its normal operating temperature. It starts at 80,000 on the low setting. I have that running below that because I've kind of pinched the propane flow from the tank. So I'm probably closer to 50 or 60,000 BTUs, but I'm already sitting at a comfortable 72 degrees. And it really hasn't only been maybe 10 minutes. I could honestly, from 40 degrees, get it up to about 100 degrees in here in about 2 minutes if I kept it on full tilt. But I'm not trying to show off or anything, do anything crazy. And all things considered, I'm using plastic to protect the inside of this porch, so I'm not really trying to have that melt off the walls or anything. So I really hope this video helped. Again, when you're buying a heater, after seeing too many reviews, I've seen people buy, and you'll see them too if you look, people will buy the little heater buddy where it's like a foot tall and it's got the little mesh thing on the front, and they do all right in a house or like in a tent or an RV or something where you have no wind. Those are for scenarios where you're not really working in a cold room with like cold brick and a cold slab of cement underneath you. Those are based for like a walkway in a house or a workspace in a room that doesn't have heating. That's kind of more where those will take more effect. Something like this is what I would use definitely for a setup out here. And when you get this, it will come in a box collapse, so it will come about this tall, and there's these little bracket pins with the screws that lock them in. The whole thing just slides up, snaps into position, and you put these screws, there's 3 sides of it, and that's all you have to do to lock it into place. And then, like I said, you get this propane regulator with the hose that will connect to that. That comes with the heater. I'll go through and I'll look through my emails for all my transactions, my purchases. I buy everything off the internet. A lot of the stuff comes from Amazon, but I bought this from some hunting, sporting, outdoor website. I'll have to place a link under the description, but you can definitely find them on Amazon. I want to say I got this one because I found a better deal. I think Amazon had them for $160. I got it for $140, but that was before Christmas. It's currently the end of January, so there's going to be a price difference, and wherever you're getting it from might be holding a different deal at the time. So, just shop around, and don't forget to check out, something to find out about your square footing of the room that you're using the heater in. This being a 200,000 BTU heater, that's enough heat really to heat an entire house, especially with the blower system. Most home furnaces, I want to say, start around 100 to 140,000 BTUs. So this is definitely a high-end heater, but when it comes to the cold and the wind, you definitely don't want to be left with a chill. So you want to go ahead and make sure you get something that's going to heat you up well enough. For instance, I not too long ago was able to bring the Navigator onto the porch. I just took the plastic and just took the whole thing off and pulled the Navigator in, and I was able to do the brakes. And I did them in my shorts and a tank top. So, and that was in the middle of December. So that's what you can get with a good heater. Definitely with the airflow is going to make a huge difference. That's going to keep you from getting hot spots in the room, from freezing when you're sitting and melting when you stand up. This is going to give you a good just overall setup. So I hope if anybody's trying to find a good way to heat their garage or their pole barn or even their house, which I don't know that I would recommend this in the house, just because a lot of times they don't recommend a propane product indoors. Even taking the tank indoors is a bad idea. But each to their own. Figure out what your needs are, and hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. If there's any questions, anything I didn't cover, any suggestions that you guys would like me to touch base on, maybe on a second video, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I'm going to be trying to do review videos on just about anything. In fact, like the plastic I just bought for this, I was able to do this entire porch setup with the plastic and the heater for just under $300, which is not bad because it's going to be good for this season, and I can go ahead and bring it back out next winter. So, and I might even have it coincide. I have a back porch I'm going to be working on where I might be starting a little greenhouse, and this plastic might just be the perfect add-on to that for the summertime. So I'll be doing a review on that, but just definitely check back to my channel, see what's new. And I thank you guys for watching. All right.